we are streaming. We got a green light. Now I got to click over here. And we'll see. Connected, successful. Okay, we're green. Okay, now we're green. We had a hell of a storm out here today.
And go.
And that's up. No, we can see that. So we're getting there. We had a really big storm came through, dumped a good bit of rain. The tide's back up. I'm feverishly trying to pump all that shit out. And I'm just happy to be here.
Are we back up, guys?
Yeah, we're back up.
It looks like we're back up.
We are back up. Hello, Donko's on here. Manchu, Robin, and there's Terry. I think we're fine here, Terry. So what do we got?
But I wanna make sure that everybody's back up. Okay, good. We're
So what do you
doing
got?
good. Well,
I've been running around pumping. Oh, God help us. I've been pumping for days. Go ahead. What do you got?
I've gotten some really cool shit after I came back from Tennessee. And Infantryman sent me this stuff. It's called Twisted Hot. I've never smelt anything like that in my life. It's solid and you just rub it on, but I'm falling all to hell, so not only do I have a knee problem, now the top of my foot feels like it's broken. So I did take an ibuprofen, but I just went in and rubbed this shit on my foot, and my foot feels fine now. So I don't know where Infantryman comes up with all this stuff, but I sure do like getting it. Well, I did. It's called Twisted Hot. It smells like cloves. It just smells so good. And then Herding Chickens sent me the coolest gift. Like, I don't know. We're not alcoholics, but I think people think we are. You know, when you go into a bar, at the bartender station, they've got all of these, these long things that's got all the lemons and limes and cherries and all that stuff. Well, he sent me 2 of those, but one of them has even got a little drawer that you pull out. So if you're having margaritas, you can rim your glass and salt. Some of the drinks I make in the holidays, you actually rim your glass in sugar, and there's 3 of them. So then you can put Old Bay for his famous Bloody Marys. And he even sent the knives down here for me to cut up all of the fruit and everything. So what a great gift. That was really sweet. I appreciate that. So when the boys start coming in, we're going to look like professionals down here. We got our beer keg now. We're going to stock the bar and have that set up. So that was a very thoughtful gift. Thank you. I like it. And you got something very cool from Chuck.
Chuck's lost it. Chuck sent me a really nice Navy anchor thing and these nice Navy shot glasses. Like I need any more things to drink out of. Thanks a lot, Chuck. Pushed me over the edge. There's a pair of them in here, so when Chuck comes down, then he'll do it. I'm glad this wasn't here when Mad Dog was here.
Oh, God.
And Chuck also, I guess he got on a kick about Joe Cryer because he sent me this lock. He wanted me to send it to Joe Cryer. and I don't think I could get that through security because I'm going to, well, maybe I could, the metal detectors, because I plan on being there. And Chickens and grumpy old CPO for keeping me informed. I can't even get through that shit of when that is, but I would not miss it for all the tea in China. I think it's the 14th. And that's going to be perfect. So,
Lineman, the youth hunt has not been yet. It's going to be this coming weekend, so I've got to get the grocery shopping and get all the boys their favorite stuff for their breakfast and their lunch. So I get excited when the young ones are coming down here because as much as they want to be cool and be out there when it's cold, getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and getting out there and shivering, they're ready to come back in and they're ready for something hot to eat. So I love doing that. Hot chocolate and all that stuff.
what is the man of the rub you were talking about? I know what that means, so put it back up there again. It's the name, Tank and Sherry.
It is Twisted Hot Muscle and Joint Rub. I can't see who that's by. And you?
You just stick it up there.
Twisted Hot. I'll tell you right now, that shit is banging. It is really, really good. And a lot of these rubs, and Infantryman has sent me stuff before, sort of has like a deep heating rub smell to it or something. This smells like fall. It smells like cloves and cinnamon, and it works. So if anybody's got arthritis like I do, you ought to get some of that stuff. What's the matter with you?
If you're talking about this ship's clock over here, it's still over there. It works. Works really good. It's old ship's clock. Just gotta wind it up. I don't keep track of it.
Yeah, Greg Scott, he wants blueberry pancakes. He's not even coming to hunt. It's a youth hunt. But him and Lynn came over yesterday, and we weren't feeling a lot of pain by the time they left.
I was fine. I was drinking
No, you
coffee,
weren't fine.
coffee all night long.
No, you weren't. But Greg has invited himself for breakfast because Greg likes having breakfast when he comes back from hunting too.
I think
So.
Chickens just got on here, so need to thank him again because you missed part of the show, I guess, or she thanked you for sending that stuff.
Herding chickens. I hope that you were on here and heard me. I was just describing the wonderful gift that you sent down here, and I've already got everything to go in those little twisty rim things. I've got the Old Bay, I've got sugar, and I've got the rough salt, the sea salt. So that was a very, very thoughtful gift, and believe you me, for the guys that have been down here, it'll go to good use because we're sort of partiers down here. But I started cooking yesterday.
There's say hello to Doom Guy. Who want to know how
Hey, Doom. Oh, it's your first time on here.
We're fine. We're fine.
We're really good. I can make some pretty good biscuits and gravy manchu. I'll make you some. Yesterday, I made this huge vat. Don always raises hell because he says I cook too much, but I made white chicken chili. That turned out really good, and I made homemade from scratch beef vegetable soup. And then today, right after we got up, Don started making his special Italian pasta sauce. And we had Tim and his wife Sherry from Patriot Point. They came over, and we just had a really good afternoon. We sat in there at the kitchen table and just had drinks and food and laughing about funny things that's happened at both of our charities. You know, they've had their share of mishaps and things that didn't go exactly as planned, and we have too. So it's nice to have another couple that sort of does what we do, and entertaining people and all of that. So it was fun to have them.
There you go. And what else? There's something. What the hell was that there? Oh, for the youth hunt. It's coming. There's 4 of those little bastards out here, and it's just, I'm going to put ducks all over them. I just sit out here and watch them in the morning. Big, beautiful. There's all kinds of wild ducks that are going in here, and the raised ones, and coots. We get all kinds of shit going in, so it's a big mixed bag. But what's really cool is Slade's kids, they're little boys, and so they had a canine lover sent down a really nice pump 20 gauge, and so I'm trying to get them up here. I'm just trying to get Mom to pull them out of school that whole Friday, get them up here to me early. I'll take them over to the skeet range, and we will set up shots. They need to be shooting at what's coming in. I'm going to put them right there. And Messer sent a beautiful 28 gauge down here, so I've got shot for all of it. And the other little boys, it looks like about a 20 gauge and 28 gauge Palooza down here. So that's next Saturday.
Well,
You'll get a report.
We actually have some of the local kids over at Hooper's Island coming with their dad. They had to cancel last year because of getting in trouble at school, but they're coming. I would imagine that they probably have a little bit more experience duck hunting since they've been raised here on the Eastern Shore. But Slade's boys, this is going to be an all new experience for them. So I hope they do good. I hope they do good.
Matter. It's just you gotta. Shotguns can hurt a kid. You know, if they're not prepared for that stuff, and you know their little shoulders take a beating. And if you're just shooting at like clay pigeons or a box of Budweiser that's sitting out there, but when you put something in front of them, they don't even feel that shit. And the crazy part, and what you have to do, because Slade's not any kind of big hunter, And the boys have never done it except shooting guns with me and catching fish. They have no idea what's about to happen. This duck hunt for them is the most fun they can have with their pants on. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And they just don't know it. So you got to listen to me. You got to get up here. Get them up here early so I can get them ready for what is about to happen. And that shit happens about 15 minutes before legal shooting time. Here the fuck they all come, and then it is just a blizzard of birds. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. But sometimes people, oftentimes, outthink me. Of, well, that's not a big deal. That's not a big detail. We can blow that one off. And no, you cannot. You have to listen to me, and I will put it to you, and you'll have a great time. So get them up here early. Let's get their licenses all taken care of, and get them out there. Put your little boots on, and put your big boy pants on, and get out in that blind at dark, and hang on to your hat. Because when it starts happening, it starts happening. Here, blow my goose ball here.
I wish I could go out there with the camera. It's
get
almost impossible for Don. He's running the hunt. He's blowing the call. And it's impossible for him to film everything and do all of that. But there's just not enough room for me in that blind. But I sure wish we had a cameraman out there.
You know, lineman, you wait till you see the video of this shit that's going to happen. These birds are really untouched. The ones we had from last year left. They hung around here during the summertime, and then they left, and then they all came back. It's just full of them out there. A lot of wild birds. We've got black ducks, we've got teal, we've got wood ducks, we've got coots, mergansers, and a lot of mallards out there. So you got to put it right in their face.
Caleb thinks he knows what the deal is. Caleb, you don't know shit.
Caleb shot a hen woody the other day. Shot a little hen wood duck. Probably just jumped out of its nest box, and he daubed it.
Aw.
No. The difference between a 410. A 410 is what most guys start out with. It's. I wish I had some of the shells here. They're all long 3-inch shells, but they're very small. And it's an expert's gun. You should be an expert using it, but everybody starts their kids on a 410. I did. All my kids did. And then it gets into, 410 is maybe that big around, and a 20 gauge is that big around, and a 12 gauge, and a 10 gauge, and it just goes up. 410, I have steel shot for a 410. We can shoot ducks down here, and it's you'll knock them down with it, but I wouldn't give it to I'll have it out there in case somebody gets a little sore in the shoulders.
Oh, Blairsy, I bought Don a drone camera one time, and I think it lasted 15 minutes. He got it stuck in the top of a tree. But Terry's got a great little drone that's just a tiny little thing. But again, you got to be working that thing. He tries mounting the cameras, the GoPros and stuff at different places, but seems like no matter what you do, you're going to miss those birds coming over. It's just hard. It's hard to get footage, but we will try our best.
You're swatting gun barrels out of the way. These guns, this is a dangerous hunt. Everybody else, when we go duck hunting, Greg, Caleb, any of the wounded guys down here, are typically shooting a 30, 32-inch 12 gauge. So, they can prop it up in the blind, and it's face level. Those little boys with those little guns, they are, these are 22-inch barrels on those things, and to keep them safe. So Slade's out there. The daddy is coming with the other two boys, and he can help with them. I'm going to be sitting right in the middle next to one of Slade's kids and the other younger kid with Warrior in between us. And you just got to keep stressing that, that's safe, that gun unsafe, even to the point of one shelling it, which is when guys are gooning up, like my kids did. When they just get rid of those shells as fast as they can. So, whoa, whoa, whoa. I take them away. I only give them one. You got one shot. And to start them out with that, you better pick the best one, and perfect shot, and fire that. You only got one shell. And as they get up there, because it's the old, one shot, yes, 2 shots, maybe, 3 shots, no. You are just, and it's seconds that happen, and that's the other problem that I have down with a lot of guys is they are in this relaxed state. like they've just smoked pot or some shit. And when I say take them, those birds are in range now, and you have seconds, like 2, to get up out of there and get after them. And that's what drives me crazy. I got to get on the guys, young or old, doesn't matter. Get the fuck up and shoot them ducks. You only got seconds. What is this shit? So, I'm extremely excited. I'm ready to go. So I love taking the boys out. Love it. And I know they're going to have a flipping hoot. The weather looks good, and we'll get them.
We went out for lunch the other day at Portside. It's a waterfront little hole in the wall that we love. And was talking to the girl with the Grand National, and they're really looking forward to a good year. We were sort of concerned about, the limit of the geese that you can get, the limit of ducks you can get, but they've incorporated a striper, deep sea striper fishing into the thing, some kind of skeet shooting and something else, I think a deer hunt or something. And
sick of deer.
Yeah, sick of deer. So she says that everybody coming to the Grand National is actually excited. They're switching it up a little bit, and I don't think the goose hunt's going to be missed at all after that. We'll see how it goes.
Take 3 of them out for the Grand National.
We got to be getting the tickets for our Texas boys to get them in here.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just fine. We'll be fine. He still has his mom's 410 to keep that, cherish that gun. Slade, I gave Slade my first gun, which is a 410, who my son started with. My daughter, it didn't take too well with her. And I gave it to Slade for his kids. And so he's bringing it back up. We'll move them into another gun. So that's it. You think of
Hi, Robin and Karen. Robin, I've been thinking about you. Everybody's sort of going through some stuff on here. Been talking to a lot of subscribers, and we've all sort of got some shit going on. So I just want y'all to know I think about you all the time, and I really try to check the messages. We just have so many Facebook pages and Instagram and Twitter and our email, and so it's just sort of hard. But I hope I don't let it go too long without all this. And everybody's been sort of private messaging and asking about Mama. And Mama's doing pretty good. She is. She's made a friend, a woman that's about her age, that's just feisty and gets around good. So they've been getting together. They both like to watch football. So they've been dressing up in their Tennessee garb. My mom's got Tennessee earrings and sweatshirts and scarves. So her and her new friend at the nursing home get all dressed up and sit by the fireplace and watch the football game. So she's sounding very good and in good spirits every time I've talked to her. So that is amazing for me. It makes my heart feel better to not be worried about her.
How old is Old Misery? Well, I went through it in '84 and we had it then. It's gotten bigger over time. I know there's an engraved one now, some class dedicated. It's bigger. Old Misery. And those fucking instructors out there, we actually did it at our course too. When they didn't know if they thought you weren't putting out on the log when everyone else was, they were really quick to see that. And so they cut a section out of one of the logs and they chained it to the big log. And they would give that to the class, the boat crew. And you had your own section that was chained to that one. So they knew if you were dragging your ass. They're pretty damn funny out there. I don't know.
But when we had the courses going in Chesapeake and we had Old Misery, it amazed us every time. The guys would run over there, and they're freaking telephone poles. I mean, that's what they are. So we always had a group that would stay away from the long, skinny telephone poles, and they would go for the one that was shorter. But it was that much more big round, and they would always go for that shit. And I always thought, when they lifted that thing up on their shoulders, did they know immediately how dumb they were? But nobody wanted Old Misery down in Chesapeake, that's for sure.
You asked about the AR-15. I don't have a problem with the AR-15. I didn't carry it in SEAL team. I didn't like it. I didn't like that twang in my ear from the spring and shit like that. And it's a sissy gun. I carried a 308, the 60 or the M14. That little .556 round. Every time I saw it, I just wanted to put a little powder on it and take like and spank it a little bit. Gucci, 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 Gucci. I mean, it does what it does, and these wars and after 9/11 certainly some of the rounds they use for the ARs, those green tip rounds, and then they found out they were too fast. They were just going through guys without tumbling, so you were shooting guys 5 and 6 and 7 times trying to kill them. The bullets were going straight through them, just leave a little hole. And then they figured that out, and they got a better round, and then they found that they were shooting through walls in Afghanistan, Iraq. The clay buildings are just what you typically think they're. The rounds were going through and could hit somebody on the other side of the wall or go all the way through the fucking house and hit somebody. And they came up with a clay composite round that whatever it hits, it stops. And I'll tell you what, that damn thing will make a mess out of you, man. That damn thing hits you, it's, boy. So.
I know some of you guys already got snow, as I've been seeing what you're writing up, and I'm not quite ready for snow yet, but this morning when I woke up, I had my big white fluffy robe on. I was freezing to death because we had all the windows open last night, and then by the time our guests left today, it was 78 degrees in my house, hot as shit, so now the air conditioner's back on. I can't decide if it's fall or still summer. It's strange.
Dark. Usually a BUD/S instructor's 2 years, maybe 3. And I've known guys, my buddies, I talk about him often on here. He was 4 times BUD/S instructor, 4 times. We made chief together, and as soon as he went through initiation, the next day he left for OCS school. I still fuck with him about that for stealing another chief's billet. He went to OCS and retired as a lieutenant commander, but he was 4 times BUD/S instructor. He's the one that, I don't know if I've ever told that on here. I asked him, what is the worst thing you ever saw happen at BUD/S? Because BUD/S is just a comedy show. Guys are extraordinarily tired. They're just time. They will do anything to cheat, steal, lie, beg, get through. It's just, and you're taught how to do that stuff. Do it. Some of the strangest shit to get out because we believed them. It's all bullshit. So Bill is the phase officer in first phase. He is running that phase as an officer, and he said, I was just being a good officer. I was sitting in the truck having my coffee in the morning. It was a shift change from the night crew to the morning crew. I was having my coffee. I was reading the paper. I was letting my instructors do their thing. I was staying out of their way, being a good officer, and then I heard it. And they don't let you use the head in BUD/S during Hell Week. You're not going inside anywhere to use a restroom because they'll never get you out. So you go crap in the bay. And you only crap once or twice through Hell Week. We're getting graphic. And they line you up and march you out into the bay after you eat breakfast. They tell you to about face, drop trowel, shit. And there's just little pieces of shit floating up all over the place from everybody. So he said he was in there. The guys are dumping like Monday, and he heard one of the instructors get on the bullhorn and said, "Anybody that put a piece of shit in their mouth, we'll secure from Hell Week." And he went, "Oh my God, bad idea." He said, "The next thing I know, here comes this kid running out of the water. The whole class is cheering. He's got a piece of shit hanging out both sides of his mouth, and he is running." And he went, "Oh my God." And they got the corpsman over there to like, "Oh, you son of a bitch." He had to generate some paperwork for it. It was like, my God, man. But when you say, I mean, the instructor didn't even think anything about it. But when you're in that water, when you're going through Hell Week, and they say something like that, yeah.
Well, he was trying to help his buddies out.
Yeah, they did it to us. Well,
so, Robin,
let's just do it. Let me tell you what they did to us. Johnny Raventez. They got our class at 2 o'clock in the morning. We were out in the Pacific Ocean, and we are absolutely freezing our asses off being surf tortured out there. And the instructors were up on a berm in front of us. we could see them clearly. They couldn't see us. So we start hurling insults at them. They can't figure out who's doing it. And one of the instructors gets on the bullhorn and said, if anybody gets a boner, we'll secure from Hell Week. That our entire class sitting in that cold water with them big K-pop life jackets on started going.
God.
And one of the guys, my buddy Johnny Reventes, we both know and love, jumps out of the water and he starts running for the instructors. And we were going, yeah. Just cheered him. How could you do that? It's not possible. And he gets up, and that instructor looks at it, and he takes that bullhorn back up, and he goes, not hard enough. Get back in the water. And we were like, God, darn it, man. Not that they'd have done it anyhow, but the mind games that go on out there that you'd kill your mother to get out of some evolutions out there. It's like, oh my God, man, stop this, please. All right, now I've tarnished Spec Wars.
Now Pep's talking about the 50 cal will put a hurting on you. Dawn was so careful with all of our students to make sure that they had the best ear pro that they could have. You know, they always wore the safety glasses in case that 50 cal thing would come back. But I would go down there and I would take lunch. Brandy and I, or me and Fallon, whoever was working at the time. And I remember walking up that huge tower. I've got a gnat in front of me. And I was leaning up against that wooden tower with my arms like that. No ear pro in, like an idiot. And simultaneously, those guys shot 250 cals. It was a Barrett and a, what else?
McMillan.
And a McMillan. I had tears in my eyes. That vibration went through that wooden tower into my ears. I couldn't hear anything. It was just ringing. I was hurt. I mean, do you remember that? I was hurt for a few days. I couldn't believe that. It was just from the vibration going through that wood. Aw. You should have taken better care of me.
There's all the late guys. I'm done. I am done thanking people when they're not on here. So Grumpy CPO and Infantryman, you can rewind the video and watch what we say about you.
Infantryman, I'm complimenting you on your little gift you gave me. It's good.
If you were in the Navy, you wouldn't be late. It's an Army thing, I guess. So. I made a video public today, and that's that fucking John Hagerman guy. And if you look back to December of 2017, Terry helped me today. I had it private up there, and his name's John Hagerman, the phony CIA buds guy. And Hagerman is such a despicable guy, but he came back out and he started shooting at me all this time later, and he never should have done that. And so the woman that he's going after was posting my video up, but they could only see the 1 minute, and she was rallying support. He is still clinging to those claims, and there are still people that believe that the CIA. God. So I made that private today. It's Hagerman. It's worth another
No,
look.
you made it
I
public.
made it public so she could post it on Facebook and shut him down once and for flipping all. I really dislike that guy. I tried to get him on the phone yesterday just to have another go at him. I'll try it again tomorrow. So.
Well, for a couple of days now, she's been reaching back out. The mother has been reaching back out to Dawn, and I'm just at my computer working, and I'm hearing her, and the worry and the frustration of what's happening to her daughter and her grandchildren. She's just at a loss. She just, somebody help me. You know, she just, please help me. And she's just so grateful for all the help that Dawn's given her. And so the last thing, because the daughter won't believe her, nobody will believe her, and the last thing Dawn could come up with is we'll just make this thing public and then just blast it everywhere. And
he's a narcissist.
so I hope it helps.
63 years old, stole her 35-year-old daughter, who was just captivated by this moron with a criminal history as long as Mike Johnson. And she's at her wit's end. He's taken her. She won't talk to her, the grandmother, nothing. All of you are horrible, horrible people, all of you that raised me all those years, you are horrible people because John says so. And we found that out too. The mother has lashed out. And that's not the thing you do when somebody does something like that. Because it just, to them, it's like, see, I told you, look at your mother, how unstable she is. Right there, what she's doing to us. And so it played right into his hand as it plays into the hand of all the narcissists. When your kids leave, they don't communicate to you. You know they're making a big mistake. That's what a narcissist does, is convince you through pillow talk that they are horrible, horrible people, and you've been abused all your life. So it's bad. So she's joined the fight a little bit, and I think she'll see that video and look over at him and go, you know what? You're lying your fucking ass off.
I actually, Don might have watched SEAL Team bits and pieces a couple of times, but I've watched several of them, and I know if you're a Navy SEAL, you could sit there and pick it apart. We used to watch another one. It was an Army show. What was that?
The Delta Force guys.
Yeah, the Delta Force guys, whatever the name of that show was. And I'm sure if you were Delta Force, you'd probably pick it apart too. But we enjoyed it, and I think SEAL Team's pretty good. And I don't know if they have had SEALs on the set teaching them how to walk and how to move, but I'll tell you, they got that shit down. They do a really good job.
Somebody told me I need to sue them, that the main character in that is based off me. He said, did you ever notice that? He wrote me a big email. He goes, he looks just like you. Everything about him, it looks like. He said they based that off of you. I don't know if that's true or not. I'd be flattered, but I don't sue anybody. And speaking of CAG, Baghdadi. I guess the Rangers on here reading, and the CAG guys, Delta Force, smoked that dude, man. Smoked him hard. Big mouth.
Yay for the Army.
They got him good.
Yes, they did.
So that, and I got muskrats.
Like snakes. We've had otters. We've had all kinds of shit. Owls. We were sitting here the other day, and some owl comes down and bites one of our new ducks' little heads off. I mean, and so now we got muskrats digging holes.
And they're looking at this impoundment out here, and I'm like, oh man, she's brimming full of water, man. The whole thing's flooded. Next thing I know, the water's going out. It's going down, 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 and I finally found it. The damn muskrat hole. And what do you do with them? You run them over with a tractor. Mash those holes right in there. They'll probably come back, and so I got the traps out, refilling it back up again. It's a good rain today.
Yes, Lily, you're hearing snoring. He had snuck in there to my bed, and now he's out here right at my feet in the chair, and he is out. He gets so wound up when we have company. That poor lady had her arm in his mouth for about 2 hours while they were here. He just loves women, and that's his way of showing love, is to put your whole arm in his mouth. So now he's exhausted.
Well, they got retired SEALs on there and former SEALs that help them. And that's where a good movie story comes out, when they have that accuracy on there. One of our favorites is Blacklist. We watched The Blacklist the other night. And I go off on that stupid-ass space alien woman and the guy saying that he went to Antarctica as a SEAL, as a first lieutenant. We don't have first lieutenants in the Navy, so the last Blacklist that was on last night, they show how the black guy that is the lead character in there, when he's a younger guy in the Navy and they get into a gunfight, and one of his sailors is killed, and they show his tombstone in the Arlington, and it said first lieutenant on it. And I went, oh my god, oh my god. It didn't say lieutenant junior grade, it said first lieutenant. And I said, oh man, it's so hard to counter some of these guys' bullshit when they do that. So that's a stupid mistake. You obviously didn't have anyone in the Navy on that set that was helping you, going, we don't have fucking first lieutenants in the Navy.
Greg Scott, you're welcome to come down here and cook muskrat with Don anytime you want to, but I'll have no part of cooking another muskrat. I've cooked a few.
Well, Act of Valor. I can tell you about Act of Valor. Act of Valor was a good movie.
I loved it.
When I went to Bud's, before I went to Bud's, there was a movie out. I've seen it plenty. It was called Men with Green Faces, and it was a recruiting thing because people recruit. You want to see a CIA recruiting video? Just type CIA recruiting on YouTube, and you'll see what they do there for that. Everybody recruits. And it was called The Men in Green Faces. It was all about Vietnam to recruit guys in. They would show you this movie if you had that interest. And when I went through Bud's, it was Someone Special. They'd show you this 30-minute movie, Someone Special. My parents all watched it at graduation. And then they did a second version of Someone Special with a more modern thing in the 90s. And they were just simply updating Someone Special, Men with Green Faces, to get into the more present-day SEALs. And the Navy saw that recruiting video and they went, damn, that's pretty good. Can you guys make that into a whole movie? So they did. That's where it went. It was like, oh, the SEALs are making, the Navy told them to do it. And so they turned some SEAL operations into this feature film. So there's a lot of accuracy in there. But they're all based off things, but there's not shit going on in like Mexico and the tunnels and stuff like that. But yeah, after that movie, not only was it SEAL recruiting, but everybody wanted to be a special boat unit guy. When those guns went off on those boats,
Bosun's on here.
the bosun.
They do have first lieutenants, remember?
Yeah, oh, yeah, they do. Well, yeah, the Santee gal, I did Inside Edition. I talked to you guys about it, so it'll air tomorrow. And I was getting aggravated with the connection and everything else that was going on, but I was really aggravated. And I told that gal, take it easy. I mean, I've done Inside Edition a whole bunch of times with you people. You've always been really good to me, so don't try to twist something up that I say. But they were putting the emphasis on me to prove that she was a fake. Now, if I'd have done that to any of you guys, all I'd have had to do was give them your records, and that would have been enough. Because she's an older woman, and the whole story, they kept coming at me of, well, how can you prove that? How can you prove that? How can you prove that? I was getting a little aggravated, but they are doing that from the perspective of an old woman, and this is unheard of. But there is nothing out there about it. So
I hope that they were able to get some good footage out of it. They were actually using Don's cell phone in here, and you guys know, depending on the weather, whatever kind of connection we get. So I guess it was a little breaking up, and then finally he moved into the dining room and got a little bit better. But it was a really good interview if they get it right. But every once in a while, not often, but every once in a while, we will have people question why we went after this one or that one, and throw stuff like, obviously he's mentally ill or whatever. That woman has never served in the military, and she is going to all of these places to speak. She has been had awards given to her by John McCain. She's been given that the thing right on the airplane, and then just all of these things. And I hate it too, but I don't care if you're 80 years old or not. You are just a fucking liar. And you are going and talking about all these in detail stories to these people with real heroes sitting in the audience listening to you, thinking that you're just a badass old granny. And it's all a lie. And honestly, people like this are the most hurtful and irritating and everything, because you just can't believe somebody's grandmother would go around all of her life telling this shit. It's just.
No, they were on me. Let's see, it was getting a little aggravating. But even the John McCain thing, John McCain gave her a lifetime achievement award or something.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
And they're like, well, how could that be if she wasn't? Well, I'll tell you how that can be. John McCain was asked to do that from the Arizona, Manitoba combat veterans, and John trusted them. Okay, well, you guys obviously have your shit together. He did it. John wasn't pulling records and going, we better check this old bird out here. And that guy, they came at me about him. He's saying he knew her on active duty. Really? Did he? Travel around with her? Go to a base with her? Watch her nurse people at a medical facility? How would he know? She told him. So it's hard to go out on that kind of limb. They said they were going to do something, but I think I talked to you guys on it about here. They were ready to conclude the interview. I had to cut it off. We were having terrible connection problems, and she called back and she said, we're done here. We have enough. It's really good stuff. Thank you very much. And I was like, I'm not done here. You want me to disprove all that? And then I got into her age and the whole officers having to retire at 62, and with few exceptions, and that caught their attention. And they said, okay, let's roll this again. So I don't know what they'll come up with,
But her husband was real. Her husband was real, and I don't know if she just listened intently to his stories, or, excuse me, being married to somebody just like me, was I a SEAL? No. But I've been around SEALs all my life, and so you do pick up on the lingo. You do hear all the stories, and so you sort of know what you're talking about. Unfortunately, she was just using husband stories or something.
no, they even had a picture of her in Vietnam with 4 other nurses. Now, how many times you guys have seen people do that on here? They find somebody on the internet that resembles them and put that up, but it's just none of it's possible. But they sure, how many times you can tell them something that would make sense that couldn't possibly have happened. Couldn't possibly have happened. Okay, well, how can you disprove the claims? Okay, how about this? Well, what can you tell us to disprove the claims? How the... Shut up. They are so careful. And I get it, and I appreciate it, and I did a very good job. I was very patient, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Well,
what do you want?
There's been some pretty big mistakes made by the media. You know, putting people up there, and I think Inside Edition or Entertainment Tonight or one of them that did that. And you know, just like the guy that went to the White House to present the president this big, beautiful piece of stained glass. A total fraud. And so it might be a pain in the ass for him, but honestly, thank God now that the word's getting out and the media is sort of starting to do their research rather than just take your word for it and blast it up there.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better.
It's gotten a lot better.
They pay attention because it just, some of them, you know, will go back at them, you know, Fox News or something, and they'll reluctantly retract the story and offer that, and people see that shit. And the problem with the media is they don't know how to get the records.
Yeah.
And my gal verified those same records from that nurse. There's nothing here. There's nothing here. Her records have been pulled by every phony organization. There's nothing here. Nothing. And that is her name. And you, like I said, you got to get a social security number and you got to get a birth date. So I can pull the records on Jim Mad Dog Madison. I get his social security number like that. I get his birth date like that. I send that in. We're looking for Jim Madison, and here's that stuff. And they go, oh, here he is right here. Here's his records. There's nothing.
Like Chuck said,
There's no mistake.
it's a 2 to 3 year wait to get one of those honor flights. And so you're talking about the Vietnam vets. You're talking about all those people that want to do that, that deserve that flight. They deserve to be on that honor flight. And then you got this 80-year-old woman taking somebody's seat. It's just wrong.
They, some responsibility, and here's the problem with that with Papa Bear, is kind of saying they don't want to take responsibility. It reflects badly on them. And that Manitoba thing, when that president of that thing came out and defended her, really threw a big wrench into it. Here's some guy here that John McCain has given an award, they got a scholarship for him, and he came out saying, I knew her when she was an Army captain on active duty. Whoa. And so people don't like, that's a problem with charities. They want to sweep everything under the rug when something like this happens. They do not want to come out and teach others how to avoid this. Don't let this happen to you. And the honor flight's just ripe for the picking. And they say, now, here's the problem with honor flight. Honor flight is in every 50 states. It's different organizations, and there's little branches of it everywhere. But that one down there in Arizona said, we have never had this happen.
I bet they have.
Well, maybe you haven't, but I don't know how many calls I've made to honor flight about the 2 SEALs that they had aboard on that flight that was written in the paper and sent to me, and said both of them are phonies. But they know, and I don't know why they don't check these, provide some kind of proof, but to say it's never happened to them, they are ripe for the picking, man. They are. You can shoot at a flock of ducks that are flying around at altitude, or you can shoot that one sitting right in the water right in front of you. What do you think a phony's going to do? He's going to shoot that one right there because it's vulnerable, it's wide open, and I don't have to do anything except tell them I'm a vet and exploit that shit. I'm getting them worked up. Well, I hope they change that flipping policy, because they are on, if you've been on their Facebook page, there's a lot of backstroking. A lot of people are pissed. So,
Justin, I hope that my son will be on here someday, but honestly, he's going on and doing some stuff outside the teams with security clearances and stuff like that, and so probably not anytime soon. I doubt it.
And he's getting a taste of what his old man went through.
Yeah, and
he's in the civilian world now, and the Navy has taken that big titty I talk about and took it away from him, and now he's got to get his gig going. It ain't so.
So when you've been over there, at that specific team for so long, and they sort of just pound it into you, you're not supposed to have Facebook or none of that shit. You don't just get out and feel like you're free now, that you can do any damn thing you want to. It takes you a while. It takes you a while to sort of figure it all out and realize that there ain't nobody paying the bills but me. He'll get there someday.
You know what, Larry? I never thought of that. I think we'll pull somebody's records tomorrow. Just to make sure. It's a combat veterans organization. And doubtful, but it goes on all the time at these legions and VFWs, and the guys infiltrate those organizations and all this Purple Heart Society bullshit like that fucking commander, and it's nuts. Maybe you got a point there.
Lineman,
Look at that.
Your son just turned what? He said, my son just turned into what?
He turned over. He's watching him. He's rocking him. He's
he's a baby.
He's a little baby.
He's a baby. Turned into a werewolf? I didn't know what he was talking
Lineman's
about.
on here. Turned 40. I knew he was trying to get at that keyboard real quick. So what? You're lying. Lineman's a bullshitter.
I know, he's a
telling
bullshitter
us
too.
his son just turned over. He's an infant. Now he's saying he's 40. And you can't believe anybody on here. Terrible sight.
Oh, Lord. And we had a few glasses of wine with our pasta at lunch. I usually don't do that early. But I sure as hell did today, didn't I? I was drinking that wine.
Oh, she's chipper.
I drink wine out of a box. And I don't apologize for it. I love that box wine. and it don't go stale like a bottle. If you open a bottle of wine, that shit ain't no good by tomorrow. But that box wine's good.
The daily schedule for a SEAL instructor is a fucking absolute grind. It's not the most desirable thing. There's a lot of scrutiny. You're under a different... Because BUDS falls under Navy schools. It's not even really a naval special warfare assignment. You are run by the same guys that teach musicians in the Navy, cooks, gunner's mates, bosun mates. You're falling under those kind of guidelines with them. And then we hide out there, and they do kind of what they want. But it's a terrible grind. And the first phase instructors, I mean, it's an insane grind getting you through that training phase, and then the second phase guys, you know, I would much rather dive in the winter than dive in the summer. The
you
second
would?
phase, absolutely.
Ooh, shit, not me.
Because it gets darker earlier and you are done earlier. You're not even getting in the water in the summertime till 2100. You're not done with that till way, way late. And then you're back in there early in the morning doing it. Much better to be able to get in the water at 5 in the cold water. But so it's terribly hard for those instructors. And then the third phase guys are out at the island for the last phase of training. That grind out there, trying to do their college things or catch up on it. It's a beating for those guys. It's terribly hard being an instructor. So that's why some of them are just total pricks.
Lyman, no, he's not 40 yet, but he's edging up that way. Be 40 before too long, but he's not 40 yet. And herding chickens 2 hours on Sunday.
You know what the problem is?
That gets into my drinking time and my Walking Dead time. And I have to stay sober all day Sunday so I ain't looking like an asshole on here, which I've done a time or two. So I couldn't do 2 hours, honey.
Yeah, I got a pump running out here right now that I know is just sucking mud. But I won't leave you guys for the whole hour. But I got to go put my boots on, get my flashlight, go out there and turn these pipes up and down and get this tied out here. It became a really heavy rain, and good for me.
When Tim and Sherry came over here, we were dry, we were looking good, and they couldn't believe it. But they were here for several hours. And when they got up to leave and they looked out that big window, I mean, the driveway was underwater. You know, everything was flooded, so... We're learning about this Eastern Shore life on the water. I'll tell you right now, I love it. I absolutely love it here. But living on the water is it's an experience.
I don't know if I had anything else to say. Oh, the golf court up. Finally, tonight the golf course update. Diane's all happy because I'm out of the running, but I'm really not.
Yes, you are. We're not going to do that thing.
I have chased that thing. And now the final thing we're really worried about is the neighbors. It's the University of Maryland that has 700 beautiful acres over there and has really posted that they could become an issue.
They don't like hunting. And
tree hugging.
They are some tree huggers, but if you're going to invest a lot of money, spend a lot of money, even if you're leasing it, and put a lot of time and work into it, and you know before you do it that your neighbors are not going to like the shit you're going to be doing over there, it's just a headache. I've been through enough over the past 4 years. I don't want no stress, and I don't want another job. There is so much more that we need to do here for this charity. There's a whole lot of things that we need to do that cost money. And we don't have a lot of big donations and stuff go on. And so it takes us a while. We're having to do it in baby steps. You know, with the stuff we're planting, we spent a big chunk of money this year on getting the impoundments done. But there's a lot of little attention to detail things that we need to do to make this nicer for our wounded guys that come down, especially those wheelchair bound. And I think we just need to focus
Well,
on
that
this.
was what
We've
we were
only been here
thinking.
for 3 years.
That's what we were thinking with this golf course.
Don,
Handicap
no, I'm telling you
accessible.
right
And
now,
you
we
can
ain't
go
buying that damn golf course.
wheelchair your ass right down to one of the
Hell
blinds on
no.
those paved things there. So I'm not done with it yet, but that concern came up. And this concern that the guy that owns it is really in over his head. And he's losing. I don't know if we're going to do it. Donko finally wants to know how much Buds has changed. Buds has gotten a lot harder. It has. I hate to say that, but that not harder in the, I guess in the physical sense as well, but in the mental, technology has caught up. I mean, when I went through Buds, we were shooting open sight weapons. Night vision was just non-existent. Tactics, we were still doing all the Vietnam shit, the World War II, Korea stuff, and they might as well just give the instructors clubs to just beat us with clubs all day long. I mean, it was really brutal in that sense, but they have fine-tuned that now to today's modern kid that's coming off of the couch with an Xbox in his hand. The technology is there. They have shortened Buds and increased SQT by a few weeks. They've gotten rid of some of the useless stuff that they would teach us that is never going to apply. I mean, I had to learn Morse code. I had to learn semaphore, dot, dot, dot. There's just shit like that. They don't need it anymore. And just a lot of strange stuff they used to do just because it was strange stuff and they want us to do it. But they have got this stuff dialed down now. Even the teams, they're not doing nearly the diving they used to do. They're not doing nearly the boat work they used to do. They're focused on training specifically for the areas in Afghanistan and Iraq and the lessons learned from that. They are doing things so much smarter now because we didn't have any wars going on back then.
And one of the big things that's changed is, I'm not saying you didn't have to pass tests and physical stuff, but if you wanted a shot at Buds, you could ask. You know, you could just go. And you could be active duty Navy and go. But now, the shit that these young kids, and we've seen it from the courses, the shit that they have to go through to even get a shot at Buds. Sometimes the waiting lists are 2 and 3 years, and you pretty much have to be superhuman physical. I mean, your hearing and eyes, it just is, everything's more stringent now. And when Don went to Buds, not a whole lot of people knew about Buds or SEAL Team. Even active duty in the Navy, a lot of people didn't know. But now everybody knows, and there's a waiting list. There's a waiting list. And if you have anything wrong with you at all, your eyesight, your hearing, a big toe that's fat, whatever, they're going to take the perfect little specimens before you. I think that's one of the hugest things, don't you?
Yeah, that's my buddy.
Just hard.
The runs that always get on him. Every time I talk to him, running SQT out there, and I say, "What's going on with the gals, man? What's going on with all this lady stuff going on?" I'm not a proponent of that at all. And he said, "It'll never happen." He said, "They can't compete with the men." I couldn't compete with what they require these kids to do today to get there. And out of all the guys that qualify, they were only taking the very tippy top of those. The best of the best. It's insane how many of these kids are there today applying for this, and just you are just, they're taking that right there, and there's no way the gals can compete with the men when they're doing 8-minute 500-meter 500-meter swims, and one of these subhuman runs, and just this upper body and what they require them to do. If I passed the PRT when I was there, blind, crippled, or crazy, I was in. I mean, you were going to Buds, but now I wouldn't be able to do it today. I don't think Mad Dog would, based a lot on our backgrounds. You know, I quit school. That's an ultimate right there. You're not in. Any mischief you've had, I had. Jesus Christ! By the time I went to Buds, I'd been the captain's mast 7 or 8 times already. I mean, that's not happening. Tattoos, just anything. It's weird. And they're putting out some good dudes. But I like the old Navy.
chickens, we actually were talking about that today. You're talking about being able to camp, at the golf course or something. Tim and them from Patriot Point, just last week, you guys have seen when Dawn was all flooded here. That's part of living on the Eastern Shore. They had a group of veterans or something that came down, and did they say 40 tents or 14 tents? What'd they say? Anyway, they had a whole bunch of people camping on that property over there. And Tim said he was watching that water level come up close to his boat, watching it and watching it. And he said, you all need to pack your shit up and get out of here. And pretty soon they were underwater. So camping on the Eastern Shore waterfront property would be tricky, I think.
We're working it. I like talking about the things I get involved in. I've always looked for that other property up here that I can just go and open a gate and get to do. But the golf course has an awful lot of geese, but it doesn't have any ducks. There's no real ducks that operate there. The golf course is just a big goose attraction. And now we're down to one goose a day, and maybe they're going to change that next year or keep it for 1 year, and I'm fine with it. There'll be a byproduct down here from these impoundments, and it's not going to be a big deal. But the deer, the turkey, everything, and I think I explained the fairways down there. I'm still insane because we don't hunt that much. I'm not turning that place into a big shoot-a-palooza over there. I don't think I'm going to bother anyone. And the guy that had it now, and when they were running the golf course, said they worked pretty well with those people over there. It was a little one-sided with them, but they would bring their people up there to do events, and they would take them golf carts down so they could do their events. You can get into a mutual thing, and I'm not going to be out there slinging lead day and night, opening the skeet range and a long-range rifle shooting thing. I'm not that kind of neighbor, but it does concern me. And when you sink stuff like what we were looking to sink into that thing, that there could be a potential problem when you go screaming and crying, even though you have every right to be there and not breaking any laws. The squeaky wheel gets a bunch of oil sometimes, and people can make it hard on you. And,
Scoob, I remember that actually, if I'm remembering correctly, the New York City Fire Department did turn down the seal, saying that he was too old at 37 or 38, but it actually got overturned. I don't remember who overturned it. I don't know if it was the mayor or who.
It went in the media. It went viral.
Yeah, and everybody was raising hell, and he actually did get to go on the fire department there. All right, I'm about ready for a cocktail and The Walking Dead.
I want to talk about that. I'll have to post that up. Where did I get that? It was a guy that did not get promoted in a police department somewhere down south. They passed him over, and he's going to sue the police department. Now, I'm a big fan of cops. And if you don't get promoted, there might be a reason for that. Maybe. But all it was SEAL Team 10 this and SEAL Team 10 that, and nothing about Al-Zarqari, the Butcher of Baghdad, all these operations. The guy was a support dude with the SEAL team while he was in the reserves. And they're telling this story, but it was nothing. And they did say that, he was a technician in the SEAL team, but his SEAL team got Zarqawi, and his SEAL team killed so many bad guys and took so many prisoners, and then they get into police, and it was SEAL Team 10, the fucking guy wasn't a SEAL. What does that have to do with it? But it sells papers. So I just verified the claim for the guy. Said he was never a SEAL, but the paper doesn't say he was either. It just mentions SEAL teams.
Terry says he's changed the video back.
Okay, Terry, thank you. I got to go get this pump. It's burned up, and that's okay because I think I got it from Greg, and I can just say, hey, I don't know what happened to this pump. It's just bugged up right now.
Well, now that the show's over, he stopped snoring.
That's it.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for all my presents. I really appreciate it.
Good night, everybody. Good night, good night, good night, good night, good night.